Hello, everyone. You're listening to episode 11 of Brandon Elrich is So Gay. Before we get too far into today's topic, I want to remind you that I have no advertisers, so this is a listener and reader supported publication. I'll have subscription links in the notes, and I'll remind you at the end of the episode because I have to make money somehow. 2 weeks ago, I talked about dating apps and these insecurities I have. Last week, my friend Allie joined me, and we talked about dating and the types of guys we prefer. Since I've been on these dating apps for a few weeks now, I thought I'd give you a bit of an update. So, I downloaded a few dating apps. Well, maybe more than a few. Let me just look. So I downloaded Archer, Bumble, Grindr, Jacked, OkCupid, Scruff, and Tinder. That's not that bad. That's not that many, is it? So, especially on Grindr, guys with sexy bodies post their profile pictures with their shirts off, and sometimes more. Sometimes they're just holding a towel in front of their crotch or something like that. But those types of guys are usually ridiculously ripped. I mean, seriously, are they even real? Do they live at the gym? Oh, and speaking of that, some of them post like 4 out of 5 pictures on their profile are of them at the gym, posing in front of the mirrors and flexing and whatnot. I mean, I get it. You go to the gym. I can tell just by one picture. I can tell you work out. It just seems a little narcissistic, don't you think? I don't know. Maybe I'm just jealous. Well, I am jealous. Yeah, I wish I had that body. So anyway, I liked several guys. Well, maybe more than several. I sent them messages. Some of them. Some of the apps. I downloaded the free version of all these apps, so some of them don't allow messages unless you match or pay for an upgrade. On I think it was on OkCupid. One of them liked me back, which so then that triggered a match. I messaged him. He responded, and he seemed really nice. It was a pleasant response. I kind of made a joke, and he responded to that. He seemed to find it funny. I wrote back, and then he responded again. I read I read his response, but this happened only in the matter of a couple days, so I didn't want to seem like I was too eager or desperate. So I waited until the next day to send my next message. But when I logged into the app, I clicked on my message tab and our conversation was gone. I couldn't see the conversation history, and that particular app gave me no way to search for his profile. I would have to, I guess, just come upon it accidentally again. But my immediate assumption was that he changed his mind about me and blocked me. Now, that could be just my insecurity talking, but it also makes a lot of sense. It could have been a glitch or a technical issue with the app, but I really doubt it. Ugh, he was handsome, he worked from home as an illustrator, and had 2 cats. Everything about him seemed almost perfect, so naturally it didn't work out. When he mentioned being an illustrator, my mind started creating this imagined, well, of course, if it's in my mind, it's imagined, but I started creating this future where I'd write books and he'd illustrate them. We'd move in together, and my 2 cats would get along with his 2 cats, and we'd be a big happy family. I know that's getting really carried away. I allowed imagination to run away, and that made the disappointment of the assumed rejection even worse. But I do that a lot. And as a writer, I create fictional stories, even for myself sometimes. And that can be a curse. But I'm not going to blame it all on myself. It would help if people would act like normal, decent human beings, even online. I know, novel thought, isn't it? I know that's a lot to ask. Most people are ruder and say things online and through text that they wouldn't say in real life. I think that's true of pretty much everybody. Maybe we should have courses in school to teach guys how to be proper gays. We could call it, like, I don't know, a gay agenda or something like that. I'm kidding. You've all heard of accusations from people claiming that the LGBTQ plus community is supposedly pushing a gay agenda on kids in school, usually coming from Republicans, certain people. Sorry, I had a cough there. I don't know what that was. I must admit, I have an agenda. At 5 or 6 a.m., my cats wake me up to feed them. That, by the way, is way too fucking early. Once I feed them their canned cat food, I know they're spoiled. I go back to bed and try to get at least a couple more hours of sleep. Then I get up for a second time, have my coffee, maybe some breakfast. I check my messages on Substack and Medium, work on an article or project if I've got one from one of my freelance writing jobs, which, by the way, have been pretty scarce lately, so that paid subscription that I mentioned earlier would really help out. Anyway, I do more of the same in the afternoon, and that's my agenda. I haven't made any time to recruit young students into the gay lifestyle, which apparently is what some people think is happening. So if you're gay or curious and you decide to get on a dating app, try to be a decent person. It may be hard, but try not to make the first message you send a photo of your ass. I don't mind the occasional dick pic, but some of them are just not pretty. Well, hopefully you've learned something today. As always, please like this episode and please become or upgrade to a paid subscriber. I need money. Eventually, I'll probably have to resort to eating cat food, or worse, getting a job at Walmart. No offense to anyone working at Walmart, but I hate that place. It's such a mess. I'll leave links in the podcast notes for paid subscription options. That's right, you have options. You can become a paid subscriber for only $2 a month. That's only $12 a year. Well, that's my little pitch. Anyway, if you like me and you want to support me, every little bit helps. Also, I want to give a shout out to Jonathan, my most recent paid subscriber, who subscribed from last week's podcast episode. So you might want to check that out. It was a good one. Next week, I might have my friend Allie back on the podcast. She really enjoyed being on here, and I thought it was a lot of fun. And we may indulge in some edibles to see what happens, make it a bit more fun. But until next time, say goodbye, Zach.